A creature with acid blood broke through reinforced steel doors. It killed 6 security officers in under 2 minutes. The alien apex predator was loose on a human cargo vessel with nowhere to run. Every species in the galaxy had a protocol for this nightmare. Jettison the entire section into space. Cut your losses. Mourn your dead. But humans, they did something so insane that it became legend across 12 star systems. They adopted it, not as a prisoner, not as a specimen, as a crew member with full medical benefits and its own sleeping quarters. The galaxy calls humans crazy for a reason. But the truth behind this will shock you, because this wasn't just about one fearless cargo crew. This was about a pattern, a human pattern that terrifies every advanced civilization that's ever studied us. Here's what you're about to discover. First, how the deadliest predator in known space ended up in a cargo hold surrounded by snacks and a personalized name tag. Second, the psychological weapon humans accidentally created that made 3 hostile empires back down without firing a shot. And third, the classified incident that proved humans don't just survive the impossible. We throw birthday parties for it. The Galactic Council tried to classify this entire story. They failed. 12 billion views later, every species in the cosmos knows what happens when you corner a human with something that should kill them. They make friends with it. Let me show you exactly how this happened, and why alien psychologists now study human cargo crews the way we study ancient warriors. The ship was called the Wandering Prophet, a human cargo vessel working the outer drift trade routes. Captain Elena Rodriguez commanded a crew of 43. They hauled everything from mining equipment to luxury goods across 7 systems. Boring work. Good pay. Zero excitement. That's what the job listing promised. The cargo in question came from a restricted biocontainment facility on Kepler 442b. Official manifest said biological research materials. The sealed container was marked with every warning symbol known to 12 languages. Do not open. Do not scan. Do not approach without full hazmat protocols. Standard stuff for a Tuesday. The client paid triple rate for discretion. Captain Rodriguez asked 2 questions. Is it legal? And will it kill my crew? The answers were technically yes and not if you follow the rules. So they loaded it on. The container went into Cargo Bay 7. Maximum isolation, triple redundancy on locks. Armed guards rotated every 4 hours, not because anyone thought something would happen, but because insurance required it. Human cargo protocols are paranoid by design. Here's the first surprise. The creature inside wasn't illegal. It was classified as a Category 9 autonomous predator. In galactic law, that means you can own one. You just can't let it interact with sentient life without proper containment. Most species wouldn't transport one at all. The liability is astronomical. The mortality rate for handlers sits at 47%. Even experienced xenobiologists refuse to work with them. Humans? We haul them for the right price. The second surprise came 3 days into the journey. Ship's engineer, David Martinez, heard scratching sounds near the cargo bay. Not loud, just persistent, like someone dragging metal on metal. He logged it, didn't investigate. Regulations said only security could approach Bay 7. 6 hours later, the scratching stopped. 4 hours after that, alarms screamed through every corridor. The container breach sensors triggered simultaneously. All 17 layers. The creature had dissolved through biosteel that could withstand plasma cutters. It used its own biology as a chemical weapon. Security Chief Yuki Tanaka reached the bay first. She found 6 guards down. Not dead yet, but close. The creature had moved with surgical precision. It targeted pressure points, avoided killing strikes, almost like it was testing them. Here's the third surprise, and this is where everything you know about predators breaks down. The creature didn't try to escape the ship. It could have. Emergency airlocks were nearby. It knew the ship layout. They found evidence it had accessed the computer systems through corroded terminals. Instead, it went to the mess hall. Not to hunt, to watch. Surveillance footage shows it perched in the ventilation system above the crew dining area, completely still, observing human behavior for 3 hours straight. Scientists who later reviewed the footage said it was demonstrating advanced intelligence. The creature was studying them. Now here's where things get really interesting, because what happened next would rewrite everything the galaxy thought it knew about humans and fear. The crew's first instinct wasn't to run, it was to negotiate. Lieutenant James Patterson, the ship's xenolinguistics officer, suggested they try communication before violence. Most of the crew thought he was insane. Captain Rodriguez gave him 10 minutes. Patterson entered the mess hall alone, unarmed. The creature dropped from the ventilation shaft. It stood 7 feet tall, exoskeleton black as deep space. 6 limbs ending in razor-sharp points, the famous acid blood dripping slowly from a wound on its side, probably from breaching the container. Its head featured compound eyes that could see in 17 different spectrums. This was a Kreshnar apex predator, the galaxy's most efficient killing machine. Patterson sat down at a table, pulled out his lunch, started eating. He didn't make eye contact, didn't show aggression. Just ate his sandwich like it was a normal Tuesday. The creature tilted its head, a gesture xenobiologists later confirmed showed confusion. Patterson spoke slowly. "You're injured. That breach probably hurt. We have medical supplies." The Kreshnar made a sound, not a growl, almost like a question. Patterson pushed a first aid kit across the floor. Slowly. The creature didn't move for 30 seconds. Then it approached, picked up the kit, examined it with appendages designed for killing, and opened it. Here's what shocked every expert who reviewed this footage. The creature applied the medical supplies correctly. It understood their purpose. It had observed humans long enough to learn basic medical care. This thing wasn't just smart, it was adaptive. Patterson made his pitch. "You could kill everyone on this ship. We know that. But you'd still be trapped. We're 3 weeks from any station. You'd die here too." The Kreshnar's breathing changed. Faster. The xenolinguist team later said this indicated active processing. The creature was thinking through the logic. "Or," Patterson continued, "you could work with us. Get to a station safely. We don't turn you in. You don't kill us. Everyone wins." The creature made another sound. This one was analyzed by 14 different research teams. The closest translation they could agree on was a single word. "Why?" Patterson smiled. "Because humans are weird. We'd rather make a deal than a mess." The creature didn't attack. It sat down, mirroring Patterson's posture exactly. The entire crew watched through security feeds. Captain Rodriguez made a decision that would haunt military strategists for years. She ordered the armory locked down, no weapons near the mess hall. If this was going to work, they needed to show trust. Insane. Absolutely. Human. Definitely. Over the next 6 hours, Patterson established basic communication. The Kreshnar, they started calling it Apex, because naming things is what humans do, responded to simple gestures. It understood trade, food for space, safety for cooperation. Engineer Martinez rigged up a corner of Cargo Bay 3, temperature controlled, proper lighting for a Kreshnar's sensory needs. He installed it like he was building an apartment, complete with a designated nest area. The creature inspected it, made that questioning sound again. Martinez shrugged. "You're technically cargo, right? Cargo gets proper storage." Here's the revelation that made galactic news. Within 48 hours, Apex started helping with ship maintenance. Not because anyone asked. It just started doing it. It could access areas humans couldn't. Ventilation systems, Narrow conduits, places where equipment failures usually meant days of work. Apex fixed them in minutes. The crew started leaving it tools. Apex learned to use them. Then it started improving them, making adjustments that actually increased efficiency. The ship's system performance improved by 17%. Medical officer Lisa Thompson, the crew's doctor, ran tests with Apex's permission. She discovered something that contradicted decades of xenobiology research. The Kreshnar's aggression wasn't instinct. It was environmental response. In captivity, isolated, they became killing machines. In social environments with non-threatening contact, they adapted. Humans had accidentally created the galaxy's first domesticated apex predator, not through force, through basic decency and absurd optimism. When the wandering prophet reached Outpost Meridian, station security prepared for a containment breach. Captain Rodriguez walked off the ship with Apex following behind her. Calmly, voluntarily. She handed the station chief a data pad. Crew manifest. You'll note we added one member. The station chief stared. That's a Category 9 predator. Rodriguez nodded. That's Apex. He's our maintenance specialist. The galaxy watched the footage 20 billion times in the first week. Not because it was violent, because it was impossible. But if you think that's crazy, wait until you hear what happened when 3 separate governments tried to take Apex away. The Galactic Biosecurity Council issued an immediate detention order. Apex was classified as uncontrolled biological hazard. Regulations required immediate quarantine and transport to a containment facility. Armed marshals arrived at Outpost Meridian within 8 hours. They expected compliance from a cargo crew. They got 43 humans standing in formation, blocking the docking bay. Captain Rodriguez stood at the front. Apex is a crew member. You want him, you go through us. The lead marshal, a Ventaxian named Krell, almost laughed. You're defending a creature that killed 6 people. He injured 6 people who were pointing weapons at a scared, trapped being. Rodriguez corrected. And he could have killed them. He didn't. That shows more restraint than most soldiers. The standoff lasted 3 hours. The council threatened criminal charges, revoked shipping licenses, even jail time. The crew didn't budge. Here's what made this legendary. Word spread through communication networks. Other human cargo crews heard about it. Then human passenger ships, then human military vessels in the sector. Within 6 hours, 47 human ships changed course toward Outpost Meridian. They didn't make threats. They didn't declare war. They just showed up, parked their ships in a loose formation around the station, and waited. The Galactic Council had never seen this behavior before. Humans had no hive mind, no telepathic network, no species-wide command structure. But they moved like they did. An alien anthropologist named Velthar later wrote a paper titled Pack Bonding as Warfare. She argued that humans weaponized their social instincts in ways no other species could predict or counter. The conclusion terrified military strategists across 12 systems. Humans will fight for anything they decide belongs to their pack, and humans decide arbitrary things belong to their pack based on criteria that defy logical analysis. Station Commander Harris, himself human, tried to mediate. He contacted Captain Rodriguez privately. Elena, this is going to end badly. You know that. Maybe, she said. But Apex trusted us. We don't betray trust. Here's the second revelation that changed everything. Apex understood what was happening. It accessed the station's communication network, something that should have been impossible without proper interfaces. It read the detention orders, the threats, and it made a choice. Apex walked to the airlock alone, opened a communication channel. The voice synthesis was rough but understandable. I submit. No human harm. The crew tried to stop it. Apex wouldn't let them. It had learned human values, including sacrifice for the group. That's when Lieutenant Patterson did something that military academies now teach as asymmetric empathy warfare. He activated the ship's external speakers. Then he played a recording, Apex's voice from earlier conversations. Simple words it had learned: crew, safe, family. Then Patterson added his own message. The Council wants to imprison a being that chose cooperation over violence. A being that learned our values and adopted them. If that's what the Council does to beings who want to join civilization, then what does that say about civilization? The recording went viral across the galactic network in minutes. Public opinion shifted instantly. The Council received 47 trillion messages in 3 hours. Most from non-human species. They all said variations of the same thing. Let the human keep their predator. The Council faced a choice: enforce the law and look tyrannical, or bend the rules and look weak. They chose option 3. They rewrote the law. Category 9. Predators could now be granted provisional citizenship if they demonstrated sustained cooperative behavior, passed psychological evaluation, and had a sponsor willing to assume liability. Captain Rodriguez signed the sponsorship papers without reading them. Apex became the first Kreshnar citizen of the galactic community. Official designation: dependent crew member with provisional rights. But that's not the most shocking part. 3 governments that had been negotiating hostile territory disputes with human colonies immediately backed down. The Zenthari Confederation, the Orion Collective, the Helios Federation. All 3 cited the same reason: a confidential military analysis that leaked 2 months later. The analysis concluded humans who adopt Category 9 predators as crew members cannot be predicted using standard warfare models. Their risk assessment is fundamentally broken. This makes them more dangerous than species with superior firepower. The galaxy learned a lesson that day. Don't threaten something a human has decided to protect, because humans don't calculate odds. They calculate loyalty. And loyalty, apparently, beats math every single time. This brings us to the most shocking discovery of all: what happened when researchers tried to replicate the Apex situation with other predators and other species. The Galactic Xenobiology Institute launched an experiment. They called it the Integration Initiative. Take 12 Category 8 and 9 predators, pair them with crews from 12 different species. Follow the human model. See if cooperation was replicable. They were careful. Selected predators with similar intelligence levels to Apex. Chose experienced crews. Provided extensive training based on the Wandering Prophet protocols. 11 attempts failed within the first week. Some ended in violence, others ended with the predators escaping. One ended with the crew abandoning ship. The only successful pairing was with another human crew. They adopted a creature called a Vorath Shredder. Named it Buddy. It now works in asteroid mining. Researchers couldn't understand why. They controlled for every variable they could measure. But something about human behavior couldn't be replicated by other species. Dr. Celis Kane, a human psychologist working with the Institute, finally identified it. She called it irrational social inclusion. Her paper included this line: humans extend pack bonding to entities based on proximity and perceived need, not biological similarity or threat assessment. They will adopt, protect, and integrate beings that actively endanger them if they perceive that being as vulnerable or alone. The paper included brain scans. When humans interacted with dangerous creatures, their fear centers activated normally, but simultaneously, their empathy and caretaking centers lit up. Both systems running at full capacity. Other species showed one or the other. Never both. Humans saw something dangerous and thought, that could hurt me, and that might need help, at exactly the same time. This neural quirk, Dr. Kane argued, was humanity's evolutionary advantage. It allowed humans to domesticate wolves, to befriend creatures that should have been competitors or threats, to turn danger into alliance through sheer, stubborn compassion. But here's where it gets darker. Military intelligence from 4 different empires recognized the weapon humans had created. Not Apex, not Buddy, not the creatures themselves. The humans. A leaked Zenthari military briefing put it bluntly. Human crews operating with integrated predators show psychological resilience that exceeds our special forces. They bond with creatures that represent death. This eliminates normal fear responses. Humans who can befriend a Kreshnar will not be intimidated by conventional threats. The briefing recommended avoiding conflict with any human vessel displaying non-standard crew integration. The risk assessment was simple. If humans were crazy enough to adopt apex predators, they were crazy enough to do anything. 3 months after Apex's integration, a pirate fleet tried to board the Wandering Prophet. Standard cargo raid. Pirates had numbers and weapons. Should have been easy. They breached the cargo bay. Found Apex waiting. The pirates retreated so fast they left equipment behind. One pirate later gave an interview, anonymously, to a galactic news network. We saw this thing just standing there. Black as a nightmare, acid dripping, and behind it, the human crew was having lunch. Laughing. One guy waved at us, like we'd interrupted a party. The pirate admitted they'd raided hundreds of ships, but seeing humans so comfortable with death standing next to them broke their nerve. You can't fight someone who thinks a killing machine is a co-worker. They're not scared of you. They're not scared of anything. Psychological warfare experts analyzed the incident. They concluded the pirates didn't retreat because of Apex. They retreated because of the humans' reaction to Apex. The complete lack of fear, the casual acceptance. It suggested humans had threat assessments so fundamentally different from other species that normal intimidation tactics were useless. Word spread. Within a year, human cargo vessels became the safest in the galaxy. Nobody wanted to risk encountering a crew that might have adopted something worse than weapons. But the ultimate revelation came from Apex itself. 2 years after integration, it gave an interview to a xenolinguistics research team. By then, it had learned fluent galactic standard. The researchers asked why it chose cooperation over escape. Apex's answer became the most quoted line in xenopsychology texts. Humans see you when you are dangerous. Other species see what you are. Humans see who you could be. The research team asked for clarification. Apex explained that every species it encountered before humans responded with fear or aggression. Understandable, logical, expected. But humans, they were afraid. I could smell it. Chemical signatures do not lie. Yet they offered food, shelter, names. They treated fear like a problem to solve, not a reason to destroy. Apex described its first month on the Wandering Prophet as confusing. It kept waiting for betrayal, for the trap, for the moment when humans would reveal their real plan. The moment never came. Humans just kept being humans, asking if Apex needed anything, adjusting its quarters, learning its preferences, celebrating when it fixed something complex. They gave me a birthday, Apex said. I do not have a birth date in your calendars. They created one, made a ritual, sang, gave items they called gifts, explained this was how they showed a being mattered. The research team noted that Apex's voice synthesis included what analysis suggested was emotion, specifically what humans would call fondness. I was Category 9 Predator. Now I'm Apex Rodriguez. The captain added her family name, said it meant I belonged. So what does all this mean for us today? The Apex incident rewrote 3 fundamental assumptions about interstellar relations. First, it proved that human empathy wasn't a weakness. Every military doctrine in the galaxy treated compassion as a tactical liability. Humans demonstrated it was a weapon other species couldn't. Counter, Second, it showed that human unpredictability came from emotional logic, not chaos. Humans make decisions that seem insane because they run calculations other species don't. They factor in things like loyalty, potential, and what-ifs that have no mathematical value. Third, and this terrifies galactic leadership, it revealed that humans can turn anything into an alliance. If humans could befriend apex predators, what else could they integrate? What other threats might they turn into advantages? The Galactic Council formed a committee. They called it the Human Integration Assessment Group. Their job was to study human pack bonding and develop countermeasures. They disbanded the committee after 8 months. Their final report included this conclusion: no countermeasures exist for a species that weaponizes friendship. Humans do not follow threat assessment protocols observed in any other sentient species. Attempting to isolate or intimidate humans only triggers stronger pack bonding behaviors. Recommend accommodation and alliance over opposition. Translation: don't fight humans. Join them. Because you can't beat someone whose solution to danger is to befriend it. Real-world implications showed up fast. Human trading vessels gained access to previously restricted zones, not because of negotiations, because local authorities didn't want to risk humans befriending something dangerous in their territory. The Urian Collective, previously hostile to human expansion, opened 6 new trade routes. Their official statement cited improved cultural understanding. Leaked documents told the real story. An Urian military advisor wrote, "If humans can befriend Kreshnar apex predators, they can befriend our own war beasts. This presents an unacceptable security risk. Cooperation is preferable to potential internal subversion." Humans had accidentally created diplomatic leverage through sheer, stupid bravery. The economic impact was massive. Insurance companies that covered human vessels initially raised rates after the Apex incident. Then they noticed something. Ships with integrated non-standard crew members had 73% fewer successful raids. Piracy attempts dropped by 41% on routes frequented by these vessels. Insurance rates dropped below standard cargo haulers. Human crews with adopted predators became the safest investment in shipping. Shipping companies started requesting human captains specifically. Some went further. They encouraged integration initiatives, found clever beings from dangerous species, offered them jobs. The galaxy watched as human ships became floating zoos of species that should have been killing each other. Instead, they were working together, eating together, celebrating bizarre human customs together. One vessel, the Diplomatic Incident, had a crew of 93. 32 were human. The rest were 17 different species, including 3 Category 9 predators, a sentient, fungal colony, and something humans called Steve that xenobiologists couldn't classify. They ran the most efficient shipping operation in 4 sectors. For individual humans, the lesson was personal. You don't need superior strength. You don't need advanced weapons. You need the courage to extend your hand to something that could kill you. And apparently, that's something humans do naturally. A quirk of evolution, a bug in our programming that we turned into a feature. Military analysts studied human crews for psychological warfare applications. They found something unsettling. Humans who worked with integrated predators showed reduced stress responses. They'd seen death up close, befriended it, and came out the other side less afraid of normal dangers. It created soldiers who were harder to intimidate, negotiators who didn't blink at threats, explorers who approached unknown dangers with curiosity instead of weapons. One human military officer, Commander Sarah Williams, put it simply in a training video. Once you've had lunch with something that could dissolve your face with its blood, enemy soldiers pointing guns at you just seem less scary. The galactic community struggled with this. Most species built their power on controlled violence and calculated intimidation. Humans made friends with violence and ignored intimidation. It broke the rules of how civilizations were supposed to interact. But perhaps the most important implication is this. The Apex incident proved that intelligence and cooperation aren't limited by biology. They're limited by willingness to try. Kreshnar, apex predators were considered mindless killing machines for 3,000 years. Every species that studied them reached the same conclusion: irredeemable, dangerous, never to be approached without lethal force authorized. Humans approached with sandwiches and first aid kits, and discovered a being capable of language, humor, loyalty, and love. How many other species did the galaxy write off as monsters? How many potential allies were destroyed because nobody tried talking first? Humans asked these questions loudly, uncomfortably. They demanded the Galactic Council review classifications for hundreds of predator species. Some were reclassified. Some were given pathways to citizenship. The galaxy changed because one human crew decided death was negotiable. Before we wrap up, there's one final thing you need to know. Something that happened just last month that proves this story is far from over. The Kreshnar homeworld made contact. For 12,000 years, Kreshnar remained isolated. They possessed space travel, but never left their system, never communicated, never explained why, until they heard about Apex. The message came through official Galactic Council channels. The Kreshnar government requested direct communication with Captain Elena Rodriguez and Apex. They wanted to understand how the impossible integration happened. Rodriguez and Apex traveled to the homeworld with full crew support because humans don't send their people into unknown situations alone, even when those people include apex predators. What they found shocked xenobiologists across the galaxy. The Kreshnar weren't isolated by choice. They were in hiding. 8,000 years ago, a hostile empire tried to enslave them, used their predatory nature as justification, called them monsters. The Kreshnar fought back and won, but the experience traumatized their entire civilization. They believed all other species saw them as weapons or threats. So they hid, cut themselves off, accepted isolation as the price of freedom. Then they saw the footage of Apex. Living freely, working, laughing with humans, celebrating a birthday. The Kreshnar government representative, a being named Shektar, spoke directly to Rodriguez. You showed us we could exist beyond fear, not as predators, as people. Apex had a different conversation with its own species. Private, no recordings. But afterward, Apex told the crew what was said. The Kreshnar asked if humans were safe, if trusting them was wise, if this could be a trap. Apex's answer: humans are dangerous. They will risk their lives for you without thinking. They will fight armies to protect you. They will make you family and expect nothing but honesty in return. No, they are not safe. They are something stranger. They are kind. The Kreshnar made a decision that will reshape galactic politics for generations. They opened diplomatic relations with the Galactic Council, with one condition. Humans must be mediators for all negotiations. Because humans had proven they could see past what Kreshnar were and recognize who they could be. The Council agreed. They had no choice. Refusing would mean losing contact with a species that had technology and resources nobody had seen in 12 millennia. Humans became official diplomatic intermediaries for the Kreshnar integration process. Not because of political power, not because of military strength, because one cargo crew made friends with something that should have killed them. The final twist? The Kreshnar aren't the only species watching. 3 more isolated civilizations made preliminary contact in the last month, all asking the same thing. Tell us about the humans who befriend death. Captain Rodriguez gave an interview last week. She was asked if she ever regretted the decision to negotiate with Apex instead of following protocol. Every regulation exists because someone, somewhere, "Made a bad decision," she said. "But regulations can't account for every situation. Sometimes you have to look at something that should kill you and decide what you see. A monster or someone having a really bad day." She paused, smiled. Apex was having a really bad day. We helped. Everything else followed naturally. The interviewer asked what she'd say to other crews facing similar situations. Rodriguez's answer became the motto for integrated vessels across human space. Bring snacks, bring medical supplies, bring an open mind, and remember, fear is useful, but it's not the whole story. Apex, standing beside her, added its own perspective. By now, its voice synthesis was perfect, almost indistinguishable from human speech patterns. "Humans taught me that family is not what you are born into. It is what you build. I was born predator. I chose to become crew. Humans made that choice possible." The documentary ended with footage from the Wandering Prophet, the crew celebrating something called Integration Anniversary Day, their 5th year of working with Apex. The camera panned across the mess hall. Humans, Apex, and 2 new integrated crew members, a Vorath shredder and something called a crystalline devourer, all eating together, laughing at jokes. One crew member, Engineer Martinez, was teaching the devourer how to play poker. It was terrible at bluffing. Apparently, crystalline structures can't hide emotional responses well. The scene looked absurd, impossible, dangerous. It looked exactly like what happens when humans decide something belongs in their pack. They make space for it, they teach it their games, they give it a seat at the table, and somehow, impossibly, it works. The galaxy is still trying to understand how. Researchers publish papers, psychologists develop theories, military strategists run simulations. But maybe the answer is simpler than everyone thinks. Maybe humans just remember what other species forgot. That cooperation builds more than conflict ever could. That the scariest thing in the universe isn't a predator, it's loneliness. Apex said it best in an interview with a xenopsychology journal. The interviewer asked what humans had that other species lacked. Apex considered the question, then answered with 3 words that became the title of a best-selling book. Humans practice hope. If this opened your eyes to what humans can do when they choose compassion over fear, there's more to explore. Let's recap what we've uncovered. Humans turned the galaxy's deadliest predator into a crew member through negotiation, trust, and stubborn optimism. That single act created psychological warfare advantages that changed diplomatic relations across 12 star systems. 3 hostile governments backed down because they couldn't predict humans who befriend what should kill them. And now, isolated civilizations are making contact specifically to meet the species that practices hope as a survival strategy. The Apex story isn't just about one predator. It's about what happens when humans decide the rules don't apply. When we choose to see potential instead of threat. When we extend friendship to beings that every rational analysis says we should destroy. We're not the strongest species. We're not the smartest. We're not the most advanced. But we might be the only species that looks at death and asks, "Are you okay?" That's our superpower. And apparently, it's terrifying. If this story fascinated you, hit that subscribe button. This channel explores the strange, the impossible, and the uniquely human across science fiction that makes you think. Drop a like if you'd adopt an apex predator given the chance, or if you're sensible and would absolutely not do that. Next week, we're diving into the story of the human who accidentally started an interstellar religion by sharing their grandmother's cookie recipe. Sounds ridiculous. It's completely real in the HFY universe. The theological debates are still ongoing. But here's what I want from you right now. Comment below and tell me this. If you could integrate any dangerous creature, real or fictional, into your crew or your life, what would it be and why? Would you go for something massive and terrifying? Something small and deadly? Or would you play it safe? Let's see who among you has that human quality of questionable life choices leading to unexpected friendships. And if you want to go deeper into HFY stories about humanity's weirdest survival strategies, check the video linked in the description. It covers the incident where humans won a war by introducing aliens to the concept of pranks. Psychological warfare has never been the same. Remember, the galaxy thinks we're crazy. Let's prove them right. In the best possible way. Human out.